Welcome everyone to Season 5, Round 2 of TFL here at the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona. We are getting ready for Q1, qualifying here ahead of the Grand Prix. And last time out, at the Bahrain Grand Prix, it was the McLaren of Jerry van Bussel who won. And it was kind of a surprise victory. Can he do the same today to maintain his championship lead? Or will one of the 19 remaining drivers go with the victory as the first car has gone on its outlap? Let's turn on the controller. And it is Milan in the Williams. He's in his Williams and is the first car out on track. Just turn on the telemetry, lap data, and the track map. Milan qualifying king, as he should be known, but hasn't seen. We haven't seen a lot of him in the races, so hopefully he can turn that around today, as more and more cars are getting out of the pit lane. And while Jerry van Bussel is leading the championship at the moment, last time out at Spain, it was Janssen with a surprise victory in the Ferrari. Now he is driving in the sister Williams of Milan, as Milan is now going for his hot lap. Let's go on board with Milan for the first hot lap around Spain. Going out the final corner and now opening the DRS, going onto the main straight and down towards turn 1. It's a corner where a lot of carnage has happened in the past, like 2017, where Valtteri Bottas took out Max Verstappen and Kimi Raikkonen on lap 1. Milan managed to get through turn 1 and ends his first sector with a 21.672. And then it's through Repsol and down towards turn 5. A bit of a lock up on the left front, and now it's up the hill once again. A twisty chicane here of 7 and 8, and now down towards Kamsa he goes. A fast right-hander. He momentarily lifted off the throttle, and now opening the DRS towards turn 10 he goes. La Caixa hairpin, as it is now, of course, reconstructed for the 2021 championship. It hasn't been implemented in the game, and now it's a twisty third sector. Difficult to follow here in the race, but in qualifying it's just pushing to the limit for Milan as he exits the final chicane. And now onto the main straight, DRS open, and Milan sets the first time in the session a 16.085 provisional P1. And Burrell in the Ferrari is now starting his hot lap as well. Can the Prancing Horse win around Barcelona once again, as they did last time out? That is the question. And Burrell is trying to go for that win in number 21 Ferrari. And it's 21.789 for the first sector. Computer says it is a perfect time. Milan, I think, went faster around there, as Julian says a 16.1, Sven a 16.2, Jerry van Bussel, our previous race winner and championship leader, 16.4, as Ono in the Haas sets a 16.8. Slowest of all until now, as is yellow sector 2 for a car going slowly around there. Burrell 50.357 after the second sector, and it's through the twisty third sector now. He uses all the room on the left hand side going into the right hander. Now it's the twisty chicane which hasn't been there for all too long. And now Burrell goes P6 is 16.741, only faster than Burrell. Joey is on an invalidated lap. Yagizan has also invalidated his lap, or is going slowly. It's not invalidated, but is going slowly. Noah Jones is not going as fast as he should be. So that leaves quite a few cars out on their outlap. Fruitful in the AlphaTauri is going for his hot lap. Driving with number 21 as well. We saw the same number on the Ferrari, as Fruitful goes deeply into turn 1, which compromises his run out of turn 2, which invalidates his lap. Joey going past him in the Haas, 22.3 for the first sector. Won't be bothering the top times with that one. Mika, meanwhile, went P3, 16.2 as well. Milan has already retired from the session. There's Rohan in the Alfa Romeo is also going for a lap, 21.831. 2 temps slower than we saw from Milan. So with his current pace, he won't be bothering him. And Milan thinks he's safe in P1 with a 16.0. Remember, it's only Q1 and it's important to get through to the next part of qualifying, going through Camp He goes over the line, but he does not invalidate his lap. Yellow sector 2, and it's for Mercedes going slowly out of the way of Rowan. And now into the third sector. He manages to keep it close to the right hand side now, using all of the space on the left hand side, hitting the apex nicely. And now it's the chicane where you can win or lose a lot of time. And for Rowan, sadly, he's going to lose a lot of time. Now coming out of the final corner, the Alfa Romeo driver, where can he go? He'll go 8th fastest with a 16.946. Noah Jones behind now, going for his hot lap in the Mercedes. And the two Aston Martin drivers going over the line now to start their laps as well. Noah Jones going off in the Mercedes. He does manage to keep the car running. Does appear to have a little bit of damage on his right right hand end plate on the front wing. Jagisan once again is on his outlap. So that means that Noah Jones has to go back into the pits and replace his front wing and replace his tires. Davey says that 20.7 is not setting rapid times at the moment, but probably is going for a hot lap right now. Let's go to our champion, Davey, from Season 4 in the Mercedes. Previously racing for McLaren, made the jump to Mercedes over the winter. And can he go possibly to the top of the timing sheets? It's only P1, the qualifying one. But still, that might give him some confidence going into the next part of qualifying as he goes wide at Kamsa, and that invalidates his lap. So Davey has invalidated his lap as well. Jars in the AlphaTauri now going for his hot lap. And let's run ourselves through the standings at the moment. It's Milan in P1, who has retired in the pit lane. It's Julian in P2, then it's Mika in P3, and P4 is Sven, all separated by under 2/10 of a second. Then it's a big gap to Arno in the Haas in P5, Bal in P6, and Jerry van Bussel in P7. P5 through P7, real close on the timing sheets, separated by 3/100ths of a second. Then it's Charles from Fruitful, from Janssen, Rohan, CTR Jarno, Joey, Davey, Noah Jones, drivers that have set a lap time. And of those lap times, Davey and Noah Jones haven't set a competitive lap time at this moment in time, as Yagizan went P5 in the Ferrari. And he sets a 16.335. Jars is not going at full speed and is probably going for his next hot lap in just a few moments time. Charles also going into the pit lane. So let's go on back on board with Jars. What does he do? He's going for another hot lap. 7.5 minutes remaining in this session, and the drivers at risk: Black Box, Cameron, Noah Jones, and Jars, the driver that we are on board with right now. As I think Black Box set a lap good enough for P6. It's a 16.428. And that probably puts him safe for Q2. So now Davey finds himself in the bottom 4. Remember, not the bottom 5, but the bottom 4 won't be making it through to Q2 because we have 19 drivers at the moment, and Jars once again invalidates his lap. That means he won't set a lap time on this run. Rohan is going into the pit lane now. So Jars has to set another lap time, and as I was talking about, the bottom 5 drivers and the bottom 4 drivers, that is because Damiano is not joining us until the beginning of the race. He joins later into the session, and that means we'll have to wait until the race to see him on track, as Noah Jones 1.7 seconds faster in the first sector. Purple, according to the minimap as well, he hasn't set a competitive lap time, so that's why he's 1.7 seconds faster than he was previously. Teammates of the champion Davey, can he possibly challenge Davey? And if he continues to drive like this, he won't challenge Davey in this race, but Davey himself is not going well. He's still in the bottom 4. As this yellow sector 2 is for Noah Jones, where we were previously on board with, going slowly and out of the way of a few cars. Janssen, meanwhile, P6, went across the line, and it's a 16.4 as well for him. 1/100th of a second faster than Black Box is. And a cracking lap for Milan. Once again, qualifying king. Needs to do an Q3 and Q2 as well. But at the moment, it's fastest for Milan. And no driver challenging him yet, as Davey loses the rear of his car by hitting the curb at the chicane. Can he possibly set a lap time good enough for Q2? He goes P11 behind the championship leader, Jerry van Bussel, with a 16.5. And that is not good enough to be certain of a spot in Q2. So he has to go for another lap. And he's pushing on this lap. So can he possibly go faster? He's 26 thousandths of a second faster than he was previously in the first sector. Let's remain on board with Davey. And let's see if he can improve his lap time. And coming over the finish now, I think, is Janssen. No, he's going into the pit lane. The McLaren of Jerry van Bussel now is going for his second run in qualifying, as the AlphaTauri of, I think it's Fruitful, coming over the line just a few seconds ago. Will Davey finish his run? It looks like he'll finish his run. Once again, not the smoothest run through the chicane, now goes into the pit lane, and that means he has to go out once again in qualifying to improve his lap time. Oh, was that in the gravel? It was CTS Jarno in P16 into the gravel trap, and he is not safe at the moment. Who's trying to improve his lap time is Fruitful in P15 in the AlphaTauri. Oh, he invalidated his lap, so he has to push again. He's only a few 100ths of a second faster than Jarno. Of course, Jarno going into the gravel trap and not improving his lap time as well. But we have a few cars behind who are certainly going to improve, like Cameron, who hasn't set a lap time at all, and Jars in the AlphaTauri, as he invalidates his lap as well. Let's go on board Jerry van Bussel. Championship leader goes P10. He does not manage to improve on his previous set lap time. And the Aston Martin of Cameron now going into the pit lane. Sweat is retired. Cameron needs to go out as quickly as he can, because he might not have enough time to set another lap if he remains in the pit box for too long, because we have only 2.5 minutes left on the clock. And in the danger zone, Cameron, Jars, Joey, Jarno, Noah Jones is retired from the session, and Fruitful on the cusp of elimination in P15. He is trying to go for another run now, but he has invalidated his lap once again. Once again, the AlphaTauri driver invalidating his lap. Borrell is retired in the pit lane as well. So still a few drivers that haven't set their best lap times because of invalidations. Fruitful being one of them. His teammates, Jars, being one of them as well. Jars is improving though. So is he able to improve by an amount of time that puts him safe for Q2? He lifted a bit in Kamsa. Now he's 4.8 seconds faster than he was previously. So he made a mistake on his set lap time in sector 2. But can he now complete a run without any mistake? He hits the curb on the inside. You preferably won't want to hit that, but he takes the chicane pretty nicely. There certainly will be a jump in position from P18. Jars will go into P9, which puts him safe probably for Q2. Onno is on his out lap. Jars completed his run. Rohan is on an invalidated lap, so he won't improve. Fruitful probably does not have enough fuel to go for another run, so he is in P16. I think he's out of qualifying here. I think he's out. Jars going past his teammate. Now going on board with Charles. It's pretty close down in the bottom of the timing sheets. P13 to P19, all out on the track. Be it in an out lap or in a hot lap or in a cool down lap. But we only have a few minutes left in this qualifying session. Onno and Jars also out on track. Jars obviously completed his lap as there are only a few seconds remaining and the checkered flag has fallen here in qualifying. What will happen to the AlphaTauri drivers? Jars, of course, is through to Q2. Fruitful has retired in the pit lane and is out of qualifying. Did not manage to complete a valid run. Now Charles is behind Onno in the Haas. Or is it Joey? Let's look at Onno. Yes, he's behind Onno in the Haas. So Onno, where can he go? He's momentarily in P8 as Fruitful's AlphaTauri is right there on the track. And Onno has to avoid the AlphaTauri. Davey as well, he goes through it. As Charles takes the checkered flag, goes P15. He's at the cusp of elimination. Can Cameron set a lap time here? Let's go on board with Cameron because he's now coming to the line. And Charles is out of qualifying. Rohan is out of qualifying. If Joey can improve and go out of Q1, I don't think he will. He's only improving by 0.2 of a second. Joey, can he knock Davey out of qualifying? No. Joey stays final, the slowest driver of all. And it was not Rohan who was on the cusp of elimination, but it was our champion Davey who was on the cusp of elimination. But he makes it through to Q2. So it's Milan, fastest in the Williams. His first hot lap was good enough for top of the timing sheets. Then it's Julian in P2, only 63 thousandths of a second behind the Williams driver. Then it's Rohan, Mika, Sven, Yagizan, Janssen, Blackbox, Onno and Jars completing the top 10. And drivers that have been eliminated: Charles, Fruitful, it was Joey, and one more driver, which I haven't named because I haven't seen the driver in time. But we are waiting for Q2 to start here at Barcelona, as we wait for Jars to load into the session and start Q2. And we're back here in qualifying. And if you have any prediction for pole position, post it in the comment section. We're only in Q2. But a driver that has impressed me so far is Milan. He's going real fast here around Barcelona. Joey in the comment section saying he is 1.4 seconds faster than he was previous season, so he is definitely improving. Slowest of any driver, but is certainly improving. As Yagizan first car out on the track on the medium tires. So let's turn on the tire details, so that we can see on which tire each driver is qualifying. And the final driver who was eliminated in Q1, Citi Argiano in the Alpine, is a reserve driver and has been eliminated here in Q1. So most cars on the medium tire of the cars that are on the outlap, only Noah Jones and Jars are on the soft tire. The other drivers are all on the medium tire. Shaggy-san will be the first of the drivers going for a hot lap. Milan behind in the Williams is also on the medium tire. Difference between the mediums and the softs, around a second per lap in qualifying, so you'll need a pretty strong hot lap if you want to go through to Q3 on those medium compounds. Now Yagi-san going for his hot lap now in the Ferrari. Let's go off board with the Ferrari driver. He has been leading a long time in the Bahrain Grand Prix, the previous race. But in the final stages of the Grand Prix, when the safety car came out, he made the wrong decision to go onto the medium tire instead of the soft tire. And that put him behind eventual race winner Jerry van Bussel and podium finisher Charles. And that's why Yagi-san finished P3 in that race. So he's P3 in the driver standings as well, because we've only had one race this season. And would probably like to improve that standing. So he's looking to go top of the sheets after the race, and hopes to lead the Drivers' Championship going into the third race of the season. Now, Yagi-san on the medium compound. It was a pretty good lap by the Turkish driver, but of course his lap will naturally be slower than most laps we have seen in Q1 because of the compound, and this is 16.4, and that is a good lap time for the medium tires here. Jars going across the line now. He has invalidated his run, so his run won't count. It's Mika in P2, 16.6. And then it's the Red Bull of Black Box, 16.7. It's a Mercedes going off. It's Noah Jones at the final corner. Milan going to cross the line now. It's only P4 for Milan with a 37.5. Noah Jones, has been disqualified from qualifying, trying to recover from the gravel trap. He has been disqualified, so he is officially out of qualifying. And Milan now going for another run on those medium tires. 3.6 seconds faster than he was in the previous lap. Probably made a mistake in the first sector previous lap, so he's going for another lap right now. Jerry van Bussel, same can be said about him. He made a mistake somewhere in his lap and is going for another run now. Question is, can Milan top the timing sheets on this medium compound? Of course, he's 14.6 seconds faster, than he was previously, because this is now his definite hot lap, and he made a mistake on the previous lap, abandoning his hot lap. Milan taking a lot of curb in the final sector in the slow chicane. Now opening the DRS, it will be a 16.473, good enough for P2, but behind Yagi-san in the Ferrari. Janssen crossing the line now, goes P5, 16.7. McLaren of Jerry van Bussel is not improving, he's on a cool down lap probably. Cameron went P4, 16.6 in the Aston Martin. And Swan, unnoticed by the cameras, P3, 16.5. So, P1 going to P5 is all just over 0.2 of a second behind each other. So Yagi-san beating Mika by just a bit over 2 tenths. Arno crossing the line now. Arno went P5 in the Haas and slot in between Mika and Cameron. And it's close at the top of the timing sheet. Let's go to Davy in the Mercedes. And Davy is also going for a lap on the medium tire. Through the fast right-hander in the first lap, we'll probably see a lot of overtakes in that fast right-hander because of the different lines you can take there, as Davy goes to 21.7 in the first sector, which is not too shabby at all. So he's looking for a good lap time and is probably challenging Yagizan for that P1 spot. Of course, because it is only Q2 and they have done their first runs, it does not mean at all that Yagizan at the moment is safe from elimination, because he set his lap on the medium tires, which means that a lot of drivers might be able to go faster on the softer compound. Now Davy setting the fastest middle sector as well, according to the computer. Now through the third sector, Davy goes. The slow chicane, does he manage to go over the curb? Yes, he does, without the car losing control. Now going across the finish line, and he goes P1, 16.315. Davy back on top here in qualifying, but it's only Q2. Yagizan is now going for a lap, another lap on the mediums. So he's going for another lap on those medium tires. So most definitely, he's aiming for a top 10 spot on the medium compound. As there are 7 minutes left in the session, so if Yagizan does not manage to set a competitive lap time on these mediums, he's still able to go back into the pit lane and put on a fresh soft compound to try and improve his lap time. Yagizan going through turn 9, opening DRS immediately, and now braking for La Caixa hairpin. And this third sector, Yagizan manages to get through it pretty nicely up till this point. And hopefully for him, he won't make a mistake in that final chicane. As he does, he invalidates his lap in the final chicane. And that means Yagizan goes into the pit lane. And now, most definitely will put on some fresh soft tires, as Davy goes into the pit lane as well. The sole Mercedes left in this qualifying session, as there's only one car on the track, and it's Janssen in the Williams. So let's go on off board with Janssen and watch one full lap with the TFL driver in the number 2 Williams, as momentarily an AlphaTauri of Yars went off track at the fast right-hander of turn 9. Janssen improves by 9 thousandths of a second, 21.7, fastest of all in the first sector. Might not be true, but he's pretty close to that time of Davy, because he set a 21.7 as well in the first sector. Now turn 9 is not flat with the mediums, and might not be as well with the soft tires. A little lift, and now braking for turn 10, 9 thousandths of a second slower than he was previously. Now has turned that 9 thousandths of a second faster into a 9 thousandths of a second slower at the sector 2 point. Now the final chicane going over the curb is not invalidating his lap, and now going to the line. Probably will improve because he did not go into the pit lane, but it's only P10 for Janssen, and that is probably not fast enough. He beat Blackbox by 1 thousandth of a second, as their times are all on the medium tire. A lot of cars now on their outlaps, including the Alpine driver, Julian. His teammate, CTS Jarno, has been eliminated in Q1, so he's the sole Alpine. And now the two McLarens trying to give each other a tow down towards turn 1. Mika at the moment only P8 has set his lap time on the medium tire. Jerry giving the slipstream to Mika and lets Mika go into turn 1. And hopefully for Mika it will be a good run on the soft tires. Might we inform them that it's not Q3 yet and it's only important to get through into the top 10. And with these fresh soft tires, Mika might have a good chance at doing that anyway. Hopefully for the McLaren driver is does not compromise Jerry van Bussel. Mika through turn 9 and now opening the DRS and braking for turn 10. 2.5 seconds faster than he was previously, as Davey, taking a risk, has retired in the pit lane on the medium tires. So he's aiming to start on those medium tires. And that is a huge risk, because a lot of drivers behind can still improve, including this man, Mika in the McLaren. Where can he go? Can he go fastest of any driver? Yes, he does. 0.3 of a second faster than Davey. It's a 16.0 fastest, equal fastest to the time that we saw in Q1. And the Ferrari of Borrell also going on a hot lap now. His previous best was a 16.8 on the mediums. Can he set a faster lap time here in Q2 on the soft tire? He's avoiding the yellow curbs, not going over them, but avoiding the curbs. And now opening the DRS towards the line he goes. It's a 16.2. Davey being knocked down once again. And now Julian goes fastest of all. 1:15. First driver into the 1:15s. 1:15.971. Then it's the Red Bull of Sven going into his... No, it's not the Red Bull of Sven. It's the Red Bull of Blackbox going into his hot lap. So he's now going over the line to start his lap. Zano is improving by nearly 0.4 of a second. That will put him around a 16.2. And he still has the third sector to go. Might he be able to go fastest of all here? Can he improve by nearly 0.7 of a second? No, he can't, but he goes P3. 16.1 for Ono, as now Sven goes for his hot lap. Mika is the first driver to now cross the line, but he is on a cooldown lap. Damiano has left the session. He has joined, but now left. And Jars behind the McLaren driver of Jerry van Bussel. Then it's the Alfa Romeo of Rohan. And Sven will be the first of the drivers to set a lap on these softs of the drivers that are going over the finish line right now. Of the drivers that have not set a lap on those softs at the moment. Paul has retired from the session. He does not try to go for another lap, as Blackbox now goes fastest on the softs. 15.854, second man into the 1:15s, and Borrell and Davey being knocked down once again. Sven in the Red Bull behind the Haas that is starting his lap or going into the pit lane. He is going into the pit lane, oh no. And now what can Sven do? Can he go into the 1:15s or will it remain in the 1:16s? It's just a 1:16 and it's a Red Bull 1.3, a 16.019 for Sven. As Mika is in the pit lane and Jerry van Bussel did not cross the line in time, which means he's P13. He's out of qualifying, our championship leader. Yagizan is not improving. He probably made a mistake and is in P9. Can he stay in the top 10 or will he be knocked down into the bottom 5? Cameron now going to cross the line. Oh, has he invalidated his lap? No, he hasn't invalidated his lap, but he's P11. Can he improve Or will he remain in the bottom 5? He will remain in the bottom 5. Only Janssen and Rohan had the chance to get out of qualifying. Janssen has invalidated his lap, so he won't get out of qualifying. And Rohan goes into the pit lane, and he is mad at himself because he probably made a mistake on those mediums and is out of qualifying. So it's Noah Jones who has been disqualified. Rohan out of qualifying as well. He hasn't set a lap time. Jerry van Bussel out of qualifying, our championship leader. Janssen out as well, as is Cameron. And just through into Q3, Milan. But remember, that time was on the mediums. So he's through into Q3 on the mediums. And he's not the only driver to do so. So a few drivers qualifying on the softs. And also a few drivers qualifying on the mediums. So it will be a mixed up starting grid for the top 10 regarding the tire choices. And that's pretty interesting for the race. As we now look at the results, and you can see it, the position 7 to 10 all qualified on the mediums. So Davy, Jarge, Yagizan, Milan all through on the mediums. Janssen and Jerry tried on the mediums, but they did not manage to get through. Cameron made a mistake in his final lap, and Rohan did not even set a lap time. But it's fastest for Black Box. He has set a 15.854, which will be the time to beat for Q3. That's not for pole position, but for the lap record. And now we're waiting on Jerry van Bussel to start Q3. As we have to wait a few more moments for Jerry to load into the session. It has been a pretty interesting qualifying session up till this point, with a few drivers not even setting competitive lap times by invalidating their runs. Rohan being the last one to which this happened to. As we now get ready for Q3. Hopefully our drivers will stay out of trouble and will not get any track limits here in Q3 and set their fastest lap times in this session. So we're waiting for the cars to go out, and I see movement in the garage of Red Bull, and it's the car of TFL Sven going out. So two Red Bulls, Black Box and Sven, both through into Q3. Black Box even fastest of all with a 15.8. And Sven is trying to set his second pole position in TFL. First pole position was in the season opener of season 4, and that was his pole position at Bahrain, which was a bit of a shocking pole position, but it was awesome for him to get that pole. Unfortunately, he did not convert it to the win that season, but that win went to TFL Davy and the McLaren at that point in time from P11 on the grid. And we have seen quite a few shocking results in this qualifying session up to this point. What to think of Charles in P15 in Q1, but he was knocked out a few moments later. As Milan now going for his hot lap. Let's go on board with Milan in the Williams. Let's turn on some celebrity and lap data. Charles went for a podium finish at Bahrain, but is out of qualifying before Q2 started. It's 21.5 for Milan in that first sector. Might he go for pole position here? He has been one of the fastest drivers up to this point. I think the pole position will go between Milan, Yagizan, and maybe even Black Box, because he showed a lot of pace in Q2. Milan now braking for turn 10. Now into the twisty third sector. Mercedes of Davy in front of Milan is on his outlap. Milan completing the final few corners of the track. Oh, and is going wide and is now going into the pit lane. He messed up his lap at the final corner. Now, Yagizan, he will set the fastest, and the first lap time in the session is 16.4. That is easily beatable by quite a few drivers. As Sven now goes at 15.8. We told you Sven can go for those surprising pole positions, and he is now on provisional pole with quite a competitive time at 15.8, as Jars goes to 15.8 as well, only 3/100ths of a second down on Sven, as Mika goes P3, 16.2, as the Red Bull of Black Box is now exiting the final corner. Where can he go in this session? It's the 16.2, goes P4 behind Mika. Borrell is also on a lap, I think. Yes, he's still on a lap. It looked quite scruffy in the final sector, but he goes an 18.5. Yeah, that was not a good lap at all from the Ferrari driver. Davy now, oh, he has invalidated his lap and is going for another lap as we speak. Yagizan is going into the pit lane. He was making an attempt for another hot lap. He's going into the pit lane. Black Box is not improving and is probably going into the pit lane as well. Oh no, into the pit lane now. And Jars on a slowdown lap as well. But it's Sven at the moment on provisional pole. Two drivers on their outlaps, Milan and Julian. And Davy on a hot lap. No, he has invalidated his lap in the first sector. So he's now driving back to the pit lane. And Julian will be the first of the two drivers on an outlap to go for another hot lap. Their first hot lap of the session. Milan is 2 cars behind Julian. We have the Ferrari of Ball, then is the Mercedes of Davy, and then we have Milan. But Julian now going for his hot lap. And he has shown some great pace in this qualifying session as well. Don't discount him from pole position. He has shown some great moments in TFL. Hasn't put it together for a great championship challenge last season. Up until the Dutch Grand Prix, it went pretty well for him. But he only won his first race at the United States, and it all unraveled for him at the Dutch Grand Prix, where he crashed in the race running in P2, looking for a good points haul. But can he possibly put on a championship challenge this season? As Julian goes into the third sector, purple sector 2, and it's going for a rapid lap as he's spinning around now by hitting the curb, and he has to abandon his hot lap, so we'll go to Milan, who has set a 49.9 in that second sector, and he hits the same curb, and he's now going into the gravel and is not going to set any good pole time whatsoever. And he's going into the pit lane. Davy is not on a hot lap. He goes past TFL Yagizan and now into the pit lane. Let's go on board with Yagizan. He's the only driver on an outlap. Opening the DRS. Let's go one lap full one full lap on board with the Ferrari driver, as we did last time out at Bahrain. Braking around the 70 meters, now going through turn 1 and turn 2, and the sweeping turn 3, hitting the curb a little bit on the inside. And now his first sector will be a 21.676, 2 tenths faster than he was previously. Now going through the left-hander, where usually drivers lock up on the left front, but he does not lock up at all. Now the little chicane, turn 7 and turn 8, and on his way through Kamsa, the fast right-hander of turn 9, and he goes on to the DRS straight, opening the DRS, and now down towards turn 10 he goes. Lakaitsa hairpin as he sets a 49.9, 5 tenths faster than he was previously. Purple sector 2 according to the minimap. It's sector 3, and he avoids the curb that many drivers have spun onto, and now going through the chicane, he hits the apex on the left hand side, going over the yellow curb on the right hand side. Is accelerating out of this final corner. He opening the DRS now, going into P3. Yagiza with a 15.9 misses out on pole position by just 1/10 of a second, and I think that was his final run in this qualifying session. He is not able to beat TFL Sven to pole position. And quite a few cars now out on the track. One of those cars, Mika in the McLaren, will be the lead car of all drivers on their out laps. So he'll be the first car to set another hot lap. TFL Sven, Jars, both in the pit lane. Yagzan on his cooldown lap, and P4 all the way down to P10 all on their out laps. But that will change soon, as Mika now crosses the line and goes for his hot lap in the McLaren. Let's go on board. One lap with the McLaren. Once again braking around the 17 meters, and through turn 2 he goes on the throttle, not lifting a single bit through turn 3. Down the Pirelli sign there is the sector line, and it's purple sector 1 for Mika according to the computer. As he accelerates out of turn 5 now towards turn 7 and 8. He manages to keep it between the white lines, and now through turn 9 he goes. No invalidation, throwing the car onto the straight, and it's a 50.0 for Mika after the second sector. That'll probably put him still in P4 with only an improvement of time, so he's aiming for a start on the second row. But can he maybe take some time away in that third sector? Mika going to cross the line right now, and it will be pole position. Mika goes pole position, 15.6. That must have been a cracking final sector. 15.6. He goes faster than Sven, and now it's Milan, a qualifying king, back on top. 15.556. And that means Milan is on provisional pole, as quite a few drivers are now going over the line. Black Box improved to a 16.0, and Sven, our previous pole position sitter here for a long time this session, is going for his final run still in the Red Bull, and is improving by nearly 1/10 of a second in the first sector alone. He manages to keep it on track by going a bit wide. Bogle went to P7, 15.8. And now towards the chicane Sven goes. He's your bet for pole position. No, he's not. He has invalidated his run. Sven is not going for pole position here, as Davy now crosses the line. He has got one more run left, as there's 18 seconds left in this session. He's the only car that is able to set another hot lap, as he is P10 right now. He hasn't set the lap time, so this is the moment for the Mercedes driver. Can he at least set a lap time and go higher than P10 Now Black Box in P9. Can he relegate Black Box down to P10? He hasn't invalidated his run so far, Davey. Hopefully for him, he won't for the remainder of this lap. Going through turn 9, a little bit of a lift through turn 9. Now he sets a 49.8 after the second sector. That's a cracking second sector. It's Jars. Jars actually goes pole position out of nowhere. Where did that come from? I did not even manage to see that he was on the hot lap, but he goes provisional pole. Only Davey can do something about it. He can't. Davey can't do anything about it. Jars is on pole position by 3/1000ths of a second. Wow, that is close here at Spain in qualifying. That was a cracking session. Davey did not manage to set the lap time because he invalidated his lap and his P10, and Jars goes pole position on the medium tires, remember. That was a cracking conclusion to qualifying here at Catalonia. I have to say, 3/1000ths of a second in it for pole position. Mika not far behind in P3 on the second row. Then it's Onno. Unnoticed performance by the Haas driver, but he is in P4. Great performance. Then it's Julian in P5, Sven in P6. He was for a long time leading this qualifying session, but now is in P6. P7 for Borrell, P8 for Yagizan, was aiming for a little bit higher, P9 for Black Box, and P10 for the Mercedes of Davey. Only 2 drivers did not manage to get into the 115s, and that were our championship protagonists from last season, Black Box and Davey. I don't think anyone predicted the Jars would take pole position, but that was unbelievable here in qualifying. As we wait for the race to start, the drivers are now lining up on the grid, selecting their strategies, selecting their fuel loads, as we wait for 25 more seconds to start the formation lap and to begin the Spanish Grand Prix around Catalonia. Previous race winner, Janssen, didn't manage to get into the top 10, so he has a free tire choice. Can he win once again here at Spain, or will it more likely be someone from the top 10, as now all cars are lining up on the grid, and as you can see in the bottom of your screen, it's the preferable one stop from medium to the hards. And for all the runners that have qualified on the soft tire, they'll probably go for the hards as well, as the one stop is the preferable strategy around here. I don't expect many drivers to go for the two stop, if any. And of course, some safety car might throw the field up a bit, might mix the fuel up a bit. But we'll see if we will see any safety car whatsoever this race. As Jars already got its first points this race with the pole position. That gives him 2 points already in the Drivers' Championship and in the Constructors' Championship for AlphaTauri. Of course, prizes being handed out at the end of the season for the drivers' top 3 and the constructors' champions. So let's look at the different tires. It's all mediums for the front row. Then from P3 up until P7, all softs. Medium for Yagizan, soft for Black Box, medium for Davey. And behind them, from P11 to P20, we don't see any soft tire whatsoever. All mediums, except for Janssen in P12. Charles in P16 and Joey in P19. Damiano has joined us in P20 and will start last in this session. And we wait for the cars to line up on the grid. Jars has taken his place on pole position. And we are waiting for Damiano, who's now coming out of the final corner in the Alfa Romeo, to line up on the grid and to start the Spanish Grand Prix. Damiano is now putting his car into position, and we wait for the 5 lights to go on. We are still waiting for the lights to go on here at Spain. And there appears to be a bug in the session, it seems. We are waiting for just a few more seconds to get a little bit of a clear image of what is happening here at the moment. We should be going into the 5 red lights now, but it is not happening. It is happening now. 3, 4, 5 lights on now for the Spanish Grand Prix, and the lights are out. They remain on for a pretty long period of time, and it's a good start from Jars from pole position, but an even better start from Milan in the Williams. He takes the lead going into turn 1, but Jars wants to get that position back going into turn 1. He goes off track momentarily. Jars in P2. On the inside is Mika on the soft tires. Jars losing another position, and on the inside now, Julian in the Alpine. He's going for the moves on Jars as well. He makes the move work on Jars, and Mika losing a position to Julian as well. So it's Julian in P2, and there's a car going off in the background. It looked like Otto, and it's a yellow sector 2. He is not out of the race. He has rejoined the track, but it's Milan in P1, Julian in P2, Mika in P3, Jars in P4, losing 3 positions on this opening lap, and Jars is on the back of Mika, but now making a mistake coming out of Kamsa. The Ferrari is now going for a move on the AlphaTauri driver as well. Burrow moving his way up into P4 momentarily. He's still side by side with the AlphaTauri driver. He remains in P4 for the moment. So the medium tire is not working here, as Jars is making contact with Burrow. Burrow spun around here in sector 3 on lap 1. And he is now behind Damiano in P20. And it's a 1 second gap already from Jars to Mika. Sweatno trying to make a move on the main straight. Does he manage to get past Jars? No, he does not. Going into turn 1, but he's side by side with Jars. And now moves his way up into the top 4. Sweat now into the top 4. And Jars relegated once again. 1 position back. And Ono into the pit lane, probably has damage. And Yagizan close on the rear of Black Box. Yagizan trying to go around the outside of Black Box. He can't make the move work. Black Box still in P6. And looking at Julian. Oh no, there was a mistake from Black Box. Now Yagizan manages to get past Black Box. Yagizan into P6. And close behind Jerry van Bussel, a championship leader as well. On the medium tire, makes the move on the Red Bull. And Black Box pushed off the track a little bit. He's now relegated down into P8 once again. He started to P9, and he was momentarily back into P9 as Cameron was on the inside of Black Box as well. And they make a little bit of contact. And Black Box and Cameron separated by just 0.2 of a second, and Sven showing that he has the pace in this race, as now Cameron is pushing a little bit of ERS on Black Box. Can he get past the Red Bull driver? No, he can't. And the gaps remain very small at the moment. Davey, right behind him, Noah Jones, got a pretty good start, his teammate. Davey still in P10, the exact same position where he started from. Is now Ono is 14 seconds back behind Joey. And the two Haas guys in P19 and 20 as Davey loses his car and manages to keep the position ahead of his teammate. Cameron pretty close on the rear of Black Box. Can he push a little bit of the DRS on this back straight on the Red Bull driver? Is he going for a move? No, he is not. So he remains behind the Red Bull driver. Looking at the front of the field, Julian is showing great pace on these soft tires. Can he maybe make a move on Milan going into turn 1? Coming out of the chicane, the gap is down to 0.3 of a second. Milan is still in front, but for how much longer? Because Julian is pushing a little bit of ERS. He is using the DRS and has managed to get through into P1 on the soft tires. And meanwhile, Jerry van Bussel set the fastest lap time in this race so far. So he's showing great pace as well, the McLaren driver. A championship leader still. As now Onno sets the fastest lap of the race, 19.2 in free air on fresh medium rubber. Is setting quick lap times. Behind, Fruitful has made up a couple of positions. Good start from the AlphaTauri driver. A bit of a surprise to see him so far down the field. Made a mistake in qualifying multiple times to not get through into Q2, and that was his qualifying over as Janssen, our previous race winner, has already managed to get a 3-second time penalty in P14. As Damiano tries to go on the inside of Charles, and he manages to do so. Charles relegated down to P17. P2 in the Drivers' Championship, but is in this race a long way down from the lead of the race, as Julian now sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. 19.1 on those soft tires. Mika on the softs as well. Milan on the mediums. Jars following. Sven on the mediums as well. Both drivers on the medium. Black Box does not get a good exit out of turn 2. This is yellow sector 1. That is a Ferrari of Borrell. He made a mistake and he's now in P18. Can Noah Jones maybe get a move on Black Box? He is looking pretty pacey here in this race. But in this part of the track you can't overtake. This is yellow sector 2 and it's Jarno in the Alpine who made a mistake. He's in pick 16 at the moment and was not running into the top 10 as Jerry van Bussel and Yagizan are fighting, and Yagizan made a mistake or made contact. He's now in P13 as Cameron gets a 3-second time penalty. Yagizan is now in P14. And that's not what he liked to see. He was going for pole position. He is now in P14 as Davey now sets the fast lap time of the race. Milan relegated down one position by Mika. Mika on the softs, Milan on the mediums. And remember, Milan is still in a good position here. And Mika has to push from the DRS on Julian. And Cameron is out. And we just saw that he crashed down at turn 2. And it's a virtual safety car and a full car safety car. So that's might trigger the pit stop phase in this race. Charles is into the pit lane. He's in P20. But will Julian go into the pit lane? He's on the softs. Probably he will go into the pit lane for a fresh set of the hard tire. Or will he risk going onto the medium tires, hoping that they'll last till the end of the race? We'll see in just a few moments time. Julian in P1, Mika in P2, Milan in P3 and Sven in P4. The medium runners do not have the advantage here. This advantage is the soft runners. They have used the best of their tires in the opening phase of this race, while all cars from the top 6 pit. Davey pits, Noah Jones pit, and looking at the timing sheets, it looks like all cars are pitting, and a familiar face is going to P1 in this race. Janssen into the lead of this race on the hard compound. And this is now the first time he's leading at Spain on the hards. Last season he won at Spain on the hards, which we've said quite a few times already this stream. But still, a fun fact, looking at the fact that he's leading the race once again at this moment in time. So he'll try to go long and make a pit stop at the end of the race. Hopefully for him, he'll be able to use another safety car or virtual safety car to his advantage at that point in the race. As Janssen now is leading, Yagizan chose not to pit as well for the hard tires. He's on the medium still. Let's look at the stops. So only Joey, Yagizan and Janssen have not stopped in this race. All other cars have stopped at least once. Julian, previous race leader, is now in P3 on fresh hards. And are those fresh hards good enough to overtake a Ferrari? And mind you not, the Ferrari of Yagizan with a lot of pace. Easily. Is Julian able to easily pass Yagizan on track? I don't think he is able to pass Yagizan easily on track, because Yagizan is one of the faster guys in this field at this moment in time. Also has the faster compound, but remember, his tires are 7 laps older than Julian's tires. As Joey also now going into the pit lane from the 8. And the only cars that have not stopped, Yagizan and Janssen, 1 and 2 in this race. And when Joey catches up to the field after his pit stop, safety car will probably go in to the pit lane at the end of this lap. And that means we'll have 25 more laps of racing around the circuit of the Barcelona circuit. Let's call it that. It's fine. Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. That was the name I was looking for. So in just a few moments time, at the end of sector 2, you'll see the notification safety car coming in this lap on the top of the screen. We'll have to wait a few more moments for that message. There is safety car in this lap. So in just a few moments time, the safety car peels into the pit lane, and that means Janssen can control the pace in his Williams. Julian, the Alpine in P3, Yagizan in P2, Janssen in P1. Hopefully they won't make contact under the safety car, under the yellow flag. Janssen is going on to the power now and has that caught. Yagizan napping a little bit. Looking back at Janssen, he's probably safe. He is pushing a little bit of ERS though, Yagizan. And now Julian behind. Yagizan does not have enough speed to overtake the Turkish driver, so he can't make a move down into turn 1. Is there someone who can make a move? Yes, Fruitful can make a move around the outside of Anno. He makes an awesome move around the outside of Anno. They make a little bit of contact, but Fruitful made the move work on the fresh hards. And that was an awesome move by the AlphaTauri driver. Rohan and Blackbox fighting as well. Rohan on the outside of Blackbox going a bit wide, and Blackbox maintains speed 12 in this race. As now Mika and Milan are battling. Milan overtook Mika at the safety car restart down into turn 5. At Milan into P4. Mika really got it down to P5. We haven't seen the move, but it must have been a pretty good move if you're making a move down into turn 5. And in such a competitive field, looking at Yagizan, he's on the rear of Janssen. Janssen on those hards has got a worse pace at this moment in time than Yagizan, and Julian not far behind them as well. It says yellow sector 3, and it's CTR Jarno who once again has spun out in the third sector. Yagizan is pushing a little bit of ERS. Janssen is pushing a little bit of ERS as well. The Ferrari driver is coming at the Williams. No, he's not. And Julian almost out of DRS range at this moment in time, but he has not pushed on the main straight. Still, the gap at 7/10 of a second. And already Mika at 1 second behind Milan, as Joey gets 3 seconds worth of time penalties for track limits. And if Mika can't get back into the DRS range, that might leave him vulnerable to Sven going for an attack once the DRS has been enabled. Now looking back at Yagizan, he makes a pretty good run out of turn 9. He uses a little bit of ERS but does not manage to get past Janssen in the Williams. He's still leading here in lap 10, and Yagizan is pushing his Ferrari all the way to get past the Williams. Williams and Ferrari battling once again, and now to the final chicane, and Yagizan went a bit wide. Can he make a move on Janssen this lap? I don't think he can. He has to wait for the DRS. He's pushing a little bit of ERS though. Janssen is not pushing a little bit of ERS. Now he is. There's the slightest bit of ERS used. Looking at Milan, he is closing up to Julian, and let's look at the different tires that everyone is running. Milan actually went for the medium tires and is now going wide. Hopefully for him that won't giving him a track limit, as now Ono is out of the race. He spun out going out of turn 2, and that is a DNF for Ono in the Haas. No safety car whatsoever, but once again looking at the fact that Milan is running those medium tires, he should have the pace to overtake Julian, Yagizan and Janssen. Yagizan, of course, having old medium tires. It's Jars. No, has he spun around? He's spun around in the AlphaTauri. Pole sitter has spun around at turn 8. And, oh no, he can't get back onto the circuit. That's awful for Jars. He has spun around here in lap 11. And the pole sitter now down, running in the final position of the running drivers. Sven on the rear of Mika. Mika getting a bad exit out of the final corner and looking in front as well to the gaps. Yagizan has overtaken Janssen for the lead of the race on the main straight, and same is happening to Sven and Mika. Sven has overtaken Mika on the main straight, and it's 2 overtakes on the main straight as Black Box gets past Fruitful as well. So Fruitful moving up 1 position. Remember, Fruitful is on the hards, Black Box on the mediums. It says yellow sector 3, and that is for Jars, who has once again spun around. He'll go into the pit lane now, as he has a broken front wing, it seems, from his onboard, and he has retired from the race. Sadly for him, he does not score any points whatsoever in this race. As now Julian is pushing the rear of the Williams of Janssen. Can he make a move? Going into the La Caixa hairpin, he is activating the DRS. He's not going for a move yet, he is faking the move though, but still Janssen remains in front of the Alpine driver. And it's the Ferrari of Yagizan still leading the way. Jarno getting another 3-second time penalty. Julian getting real close to Janssen now. Janssen, does he get the DRS from the Ferrari? Janssen does manage to get the DRS after a bad exit from Yagizan, and that will make life a bit more difficult for Julian, who does now have to cope with the DRS from Janssen, as he is pushing a little bit of ERS. He is pushing his DRS as well, and he remains behind Janssen. So on the fresh hards, he can't overtake the old hards of Janssen, who's still in P2 in this race, as Rowan is relegated down to P12 by Noah Jones. Jarno is into the pit lane. He's now switching to a new set of medium compound tires. Julian now real close behind Johnson. Still in this part of the track, he can't make an overtake that easily. We've seen Milan making a move there on Mika a few laps before. But Julian does not manage to get past Janssen. Once again, sector 2 yellow, and that is for Jarno, who spun around at the exit of turn 2. Oh no, Janssen are drinking a little bit, and that at the exact same time, Janssen hit the curb on the inside, and he has spun around, and that leaves Julian in P2 in this race. He just about avoided the spitting Williams. And Milan in P3 now. He has the DRS from Julian. It's closing up rapidly. Julian does not have the DRS because Luke does not give him the DRS. He has spun around, of course. And Yagizan is 1.7 seconds in front on his old mediums. He's pushing get out of the DRS reach, as Charles, I think, has spun around, and the Aston Martin, yes, he has spun around. It is in P6, P15 ahead of Joey and Jarno. Milan with his medium tires as Mika gets a 3-second time penalty. Milan is pushing with the mediums, has gone for the 2-stop, most definitely, and can't get close to Julian on the hards in the braking zone for turn 10. But can he manage to get past Julian on the main straight, or even braking into turn 1? Julian has a 7/10, 6/10 gap to Milan, and Milan is now pushing the DRS and the ERS. Julian is defending all that he can, but Milan is trying to go for the overtake as he goes down the inside. Julian squeezes him a little bit to the apex, and that was Julian's right. It was fully his racing line. Once again, Milan goes wide over that white line, and Milan had to go out of that battle, and if he went into that corner with just a little bit of a front wing in there, he might have spun around, so it was a good choice to go out of that battle. Now Julian closing up to the rear of Yagizan as we speak. 1.3 seconds the gap at the moment with the 14-lap old medium tires. Braking for turn 10. Once again, Milan stays behind. Looking behind once again behind Milan. The Red Bull of Sven, who had it all taken away from him in qualifying, is still looking good for a podium finish here. As Yagizan and Milan definitely have to pit. He might go for the 1-stop on the hards. Let's see if he manages to hold on to those tires coming to the end of the race. Now Milan once again closing up to Julian. He can't make the overtake on the main straight. Julian defending brilliantly with the DRS. With the ERS, and keeps Milan behind on the medium tires. And we come to a point where the medium tires are just getting worse and worse and worse, so it might be getting difficult for Milan to make the move on Julian. Julian now into the DRS range of Yagizan, and this is the moment that Milan dreaded, because now Julian gets the DRS from the Ferrari driver, as Jarno has retired in the pit lane. Julian gets the DRS from the Ferrari driver, which makes it easier for Julian to keep up with him, B, not overtake the Ferrari driver. And he's trying to go for that move into turn 1, as Mika has been relegated down one position once more, going into the Lakaisa hairpin by Davey. Davey now running in P5 from P10. A lot of people saying P10 is one of the most difficult positions to come from in a race. because you have to start on the tire that you've used in Q2, and you're starting last of the drivers that have to start on the tires that they used in Q2. Oh, what was that? That was Jarno's AI on the road. And Jansen overtaken by Noah Jones. I think Jansen once again made a mistake. But the AI of Charles is retired in the pit lane. The AI of Jarno went onto the track and blocked the front runners by retiring on the track. Now, oh no, Yagi-san makes a huge mistake, and that leaves Julian in the lead of the race. Yagi-san has been overtaken by Milan and Sven as well. So that small mistake leaves Yagi-san in P4 as Jerry van Bussel now makes a move on Mika. Mika made a mistake as well on that straight, or braking for turn 10, and that leaves Jerry van Bussel in P7, Black Box in P6, Davy in P5 still, and has closed up to the train in front of Yagi-san now. Pits for new tires, and I think he'll go for the hard tires. Looking to the front of the field. Now Milan is trying to make the move on Julian. Can Milan go around the outside on Julian? No, he can't. Julian defending brilliantly once again as Milan gets a 3-second time penalty. Going over the white line. And he's so close to Julian still. Can he make a move? Going into turn 4? No, he can't. But can he make the move? Down into turn 5. The tires do not seem to have the grip that they used to have a few laps ago. With those 10 lap old mediums, the hards are just getting a little bit better than the mediums at this point. So it will be an uphill battle for Milan trying to make the move on Julian. Now he has the DRS, but this is normally not a place where we see an overtake happening. We won't see an overtake happening here into turn 10. He fixed the move. Julian is not impressed by that move and remains on the racing line. Now, going to the main straight once again, Milan gets another chance. He does get the DRS. Julian gets a pretty good exit as Milan gets a bad exit, and that might give Sven the encouragement to go for a move into turn 1, as Milan is pushing his ERS a little bit and is using the DRS off of Julian to keep up with Julian. He might have gone for a move on Julian there. He was closing up rapidly, but he stayed behind Julian as Sven went to the inside as Milan went a little bit wide, but Sven remains down in P3. And Sven, awesome race pace by the Red Bull driver. I've not seen him this pacey in a long time, which is very good to see. And hopefully he converts that pace into a podium for his sake. As the battle for the lead now includes Davy as well in P4, as Noah Jones gets a 3-second time penalty down in P10. And looking at the drivers that have made up a great amount of positions, Damiano in P9 has made up the most, coming from P20 on the grid. 11 places to be exact. And most position lost by Yagizan and Ball in P13 and 14. Now let's look once again to the lead of the race. Now Milan is just a little bit closer to Julian. He goes for the move on the inside. He almost went onto the grass and now overtakes Julian for the lead of the race. Milan into the lead of the race on the mediums. But does he have to pit again? That remains the question. Can Julian keep up with Milan? Or will Milan drive him out of the DRS range? This is yellow sector 1 and it's Rohan. Rohan in the Alfa Romeo who has spun around at turn 3. The long sweeping right-hander. And he's now just in front of Yagizan in P14. And Julian is keeping up with Milan. Milan is around 25% ERS, so he has pushed a bit of ERS to get past Julian. Julian's still at 60%. Cameron has retired a long time ago in this session, but now is leaving the session as well. The Ferrari of Yagizan now going for a move on Rohan. Rohan defending the inside and trying to go around the outside, the Turkish driver. Does he manage to do so? They're still side by side into turn number 11. As Black Box now pits in P6, so he is pitting once again. What is he going for? He's not going for a wing change, but he's going for the mediums. So he's going for a 2-stop after going onto the mediums earlier in the race during the safety car. Rohan, 5 seconds penalty in the pit lane for speeding in the pit lane and has retired in P14. He is out of the race, but still the battle for the lead is still on with 12 more laps to go in the race. Davey in P4, P3 for Sven with the penalty. Julian in P2, Milan in P1 with a penalty as well, but he's on the medium tires. He's looking pretty pacey still, but his tires will deteriorate in the coming laps. So might Julian be able to go for a move on the Williams driver? Julian is pushing a little bit of ERS as we saw from his onboard. He is using the ERS to get a lot closer to the Williams driver, but he does not go for a move into turn 1, and that's a strategy we saw from Julian in season 4 as well. Only that was for P2 in the race, and now it's for the lead of the race. Sven in P3, still hanging on in there. Jerry van Bussel on championship leader in P5. Great race from the McLaren driver. I think only Milan is on old mediums. Joey's on old mediums as well as Fruitful gets a 3-second time penalty. That might lose him a position to Damiano at the end of the race if the gaps remain the same as Julian now. Goes a little bit slowly in the third sector. Joey gets a 3-second time penalty as well. He's now exiting the chicane. Julian still has the DRS and he's trying to go for a move. No, he's not. He's just doing a little bit ERS coming out of the chicane just to keep up with Milan. And he knows Milan has to pit once again with those mediums because they won't make it to the end of the race, certainly. This is the other battle that's pretty close on track, as Janssen and Barrel actually are fighting on track. Barrel into P10 in the Ferrari. Janssen in P11 is out of points in the Ferrari, in the Williams. Last season Janssen was in the Ferrari, now he's in the Williams. As Sven is so close to Julian, going for the inside into turn 7. They are side by side going into turn 9, the sweeping right-hander. Julian remains in front, and that was an unorthodox place to go for a move for Sven. And now Julian has lost the 1 second gap to Milan. Hopefully for Julian he can get it back in sector 3, because that will be crucial for his race. Getting back that DRS to use on the main straight. And if he can't use the DRS on the main straight, Julian might have a problem, because Sven is on his gearbox. Noah Jones, I think, made a mistake in the third sector, but now we'll look for the battle for P2 in this race. This is P2 going away from Julian and into the hands of Sven. Sven is making the move on Julian. They are side by side going into turn 1. Julian breaks later than the Red Bull driver and remains in P2. But that was a pretty close moment for P2 and P3 in this race. And Davey saw it happening in front of him, as Black Box now sets the fastest lap on the medium tires. He has pitted and is rapid on the track. If the hearts of the front runners won't make it to the end of the race, he might be in a pretty good position here. But last season we saw a safety car at lap 6, and we saw Luke winning, and that is Janssen, winning from pitting on the safety car onto the hards. So the hards might very well go to the end of the race. Mika still behind Jerry van Bussel in P5. Might he be able to make a move on the main straight? We'll see when we come back to them. Now the battle for the lead of the race is Milan now. Pits from the lead and going to a set of the soft tires, I suppose. Sven is pushing a little bit of ERS, not anymore, and is using the DRS to keep up with Julian. He has the 3 seconds time penalty, and that might hamper him at the end of the race. Mika got close to Jerry. Jerry does not have a lot of ERS left, and now is in P4. Mika in P5, Fruitful in P6. P5 and P6 both have the 3 second time penalty. Damiano does not have the 3 second time penalty, so he'll overtake P5 and P6 as it stands. And Davy now in the final podium position. Sven in P2, but has that time penalty, though that will at the moment relegate him down to P3. And looking at Black Box, at the moment he's in P12 behind Jagizan, but he has a lot more pace than the Ferrari driver on those fresh mediums. So Mika now gets a 3 second time penalty once again, so that leaves him with 6 seconds worth of time penalties. And still the Black Box not able to make the move on the Ferrari driver. As Julian now sets the fastest lap of the race on the hard tires, that indicates that he is pushing to get out of the DRS range of Sven, but Sven is keeping up nicely on his hards as well. Let's look at the different tires once again. Noah Jones gets a 3 second time penalty. 18 lap old hard tires for P1 all the way down to P8, as Milan is now on the soft tires. What can he do from P9? Noah Jones retiring in the pit lane, is out of the race. That puts Jagizan into the points paying positions and Black Box into P11. Look how close he is to the Ferrari driver now. He's not even 3 temps away from his gearbox. Can he find the grip on those mediums to get past the Ferrari driver? Not at this moment in time. He remains behind Jagizan. I'm curious how much progress Milan will make on those soft tires. And if he's able to challenge, I think he's only able to challenge P4 in this race. That's Jerry. Because from Jerry to Davy it's a 7 second gap. And that might prove difficult for Milan in the Williams. And it is looking a little bit cloudy here at Catalonia. Will it start to rain at the end of the race? We'll see in just a few moments time. Sven still behind Julian. Now in front of them it's Joey in the Haas getting lapped, and Jagizan sets the fastest lap on the hards. Indicates that he is pushing to keep Black Box behind on the mediums. Julian still remaining in the lead of the race, having 50% of ERS. He has enough ERS to defend from an attack from Sven, and is looking more and more cloudy in this race. Is there a possibility that it is going to rain at the end of the race? We'll see in just a few moments time if the rain will hit, as Jagizan has been overtaken by Black Box. Yes, he has. Probably Jagizan made a mistake because the gap is already at 1.5 seconds. Milan are 1.7 seconds behind Borrell in the Ferrari. Borrell 6 seconds behind Damiano, so it will prove difficult for Milan to overtake even Damiano. Sven still 3/10 of a second behind. Milan now the fastest lap of the race on those soft tires. Jerry momentarily went up, I think, into P4, but hasn't managed to keep that position. Oh no, Mika went up into P4. Jerry did not manage to hold on to P4, being overtaken by his teammates. Now Fruitful looking to take P5 away from Jerry as Sven gets another penalty. He's now worth 6 seconds of penalties, and that will leave him still in P3 in this race. Gap is so close at the front of the field, but still we haven't seen an overtake from the top 3. Sven now with the 6 seconds as he makes a mistake. That leaves Davy very close to the rear of Sven. And now, does he have the DRS? No! Sven does not have the DRS off of Julian. And now Davy moves up into P2. Julian in P2. Julian in P1. Davy in P2. Sven relegated down 1 position to P3. As Davy now is going for his first win of the season. He's catching up to Julian. Remember, Julian does have more ERS. Joey, I think, has spun around at turn 2. Yes, he has. As Milan made the move on the Ferrari Bottle. Now into P8 and catching up to Damiano, but we only have 4 laps remaining in this race. As Janssen sets the fastest lap of the race, it's not quite the victory that he would have liked to see, but it is the fastest lap of the race from the Williams driver. Almost out of the ERS for Davy. Julian around 32% of ERS. So that means Julian is safe from an attack, most likely from Davy. And how about Sven? Sven is around 20% of ERS. Both drivers getting the DRS. So Sven and Davy having the DRS. Davy sets the fastest lap of the race with that overtake on Sven. On the old hard tires. And still, as Borrell gets a 30-second time penalty, those hards holding up quite nicely. As Milan now sets the fastest lap once again, 17.7, and is catching up to Damiano, but not quite fast enough to overtake Damiano on track, as Damiano gets close to the rear of Fruitful, as Fruitful hasn't been able to make a move on one of the McLaren drivers. Damiano does not have a time penalty. Mika and Fruitful both do have a time penalty. They won't be bothering Sven because of the distance between Sven and Mika. Now Fruitful gets a pretty good run. Can he make the move on Jerry at turn 10? No, he can't, and Damiano is still very close behind the AlphaTauri driver. Can Fruitful maybe make a move on the main straight? As we pay close attention to the gaps between the leading cars. Jerry gets a good exit, so does Fruitful. Jerry 40% of ERS left. Mika is pushing a little bit of ERS, around 25% of ERS now. Can't make an overtake as of yet. Jerry will inherit P4 after the penalties have been applied, and still 3 laps left in this race. So 3 more laps until the end. And will these hard tires hang on until the end of the race? Or will there be unexpected punctures for the drivers? There has been 1 safety car, most drivers pitting during that safety car for new tires for the hards. That was 23 laps ago, and still the same drivers on those hards. Milan 4.7 seconds behind Damiano. Can't make the move as of yet. As Jerry now gets a bad exit out of that chicane, and Fruitful is close to Jerry. Is he close enough? No, I don't think he is. Damiano is pushing a little bit of ERS as well. He is gaining on Fruitful, but not enough to go for an overtake into turn 1. And still these 4 cars in formation. And 2 laps left in this race. Fruitful going a bit wide. Black Box got overtaken by Yagizan off screen. Yagizan into P10, Black Box out of points. Black Box on the mediums doesn't have the pace to go into the top 10. It hasn't been the best race from the Red Bull driver. Janssen now sits the fastest lap of the race, 16.8 in P12. Joey now into the pit lane and coming out of the pit lane. These couple of cars so close on track. But we haven't seen one overtake from them so far. Fruitful is so close to the back of Jerry. Going a bit wide, Fruitful though. Might that give encouragement to Damian to go for the move on the AlphaTauri driver as we enter the final lap of this race. This is where you have to push all of your ERS, and Fruitful is pushing his ERS. Jerry van Bussel goes to the inside and overtakes the McLaren. Can Damiano do the same? No, he can't. He stays behind Jerry van Bussel, and Fruitful moves himself up into P5 in this race. And as we have not seen a move from Davy, that means Julian is still in the lead of the race and is probably going to win the Grand Prix. Damiano very close behind Jerry. No punctures so far, and don't think they'll be happening in this race. They have all managed their tires pretty well up till this point. Due to the time penalty, the position gained by Fruitful will still be lost after the checkered flag. Oh no, so Damiano almost went for a dive bomb on Jerry van Bussel. But let's go to the lead of the race. Julian has made his strategy work, has made some great overtakes in this race and leads into the final lap and wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Davy made an unusual crash at the start-finish straight, but has finished P2, and Sven into P3. Great podium by the Red Bull driver, would have wanted more, but it is still a podium for him. Jerry van Bussel in P4, P5 is for Fruitful. Mika, after his penalties have been applied, P6, Milan P7, Yagizan P8, Black Box P9, Borrell in P11, and I wonder what happened to Damiano in that last lap, because he is suddenly out of the points in P11. What happened there to Damiano? Did he spun around in the final sector? He's out of the points. Janssen, onto the gravel trap, is making his way to the finish line as he has been unlapped by Joey. Joey unlapped himself as Janssen still has to make his way to the finish line in the Williams. But Julian wins once again. After his victory in the United States in Season 4, he now wins once again in Season 5. Julian wins the Spanish Grand Prix. And Fruitful driver of the day, I have to agree, it would have been between Fruitful and Damiano for me, but Damiano making a mistake on the final lap. Fruitful making an awesome pass at the turn 1 on the final lap. Moved himself up into P5 by being knocked out of Q1. So awesome recovery from Fruitful. As we are now looking to the results in this race, Julian wins and Davy is P2. Davy just got a time penalty in the final lap, but still is in P2. Sven in P3. Then it's Jerry in P4, P5 for Fruitful, P6 for Mika, P7 for Milan, Yagizan in P8, great recovery after spinning out in the race. P9 is for Black Box, still managed to get some points. Borrell in P10. Out of the points, Damiano, wondered what happened there. P12 for Janssen, P13 Joey, P14 for Noah Jones, and the retirees have been Rowan, Charles, Noah Jones as well, Jarno, Jars, Onno, Cameron. Those are your retirements in this race. And now we are going to the interviews. Julian, Davey, and Sven have to be invited into the party. And we'll wait just a few seconds for them to join. So that's Davey, Julian, and Sven that need to be invited into this party. And we'll add them now. And hopefully they'll all join for the interview in just a few moments' time. But it was a great race around Spain. The final laps, we didn't see a lot of action, but I quite fondly remember the first lap. It was an awesome first lap, and there we have our race winner, Julian. Julian, congratulations, nice race win. After winning at the United States at Kota, now you've won around Spain. Talk us through your victory, because after quite a few drivers made mistakes and made wrong strategy calls, you managed perfectly. What was going through your mind being behind the medium runner in the middle stint of the race? So still, with problems, you still managed to win this race. Well, you did manage to lose some time out of the final chicane sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit of a unorthodox place to make a move, but that was due to your mistake on your faulty steering wheel. Okay, so then we know what happened there. But it was very reminiscent of your battle last season, where you went for P2 during the final laps of that race, waiting for the final laps to use all of your ERS, and it was an awesome managed race by you. So congratulations on your win. And also congratulations to Davey. Davey, what happened in qualifying? Let's talk about qualifying first.
You mean Q3 or 2?
Yeah, Q3.
Invalidated all laps.
All laps invalidated, and still P10, one of the hardest positions in the Grand Prix to start from, you managed to get it up to the podium positions. It looked like staying out of trouble. But talk us through your race.
Yeah, and Milan chose the wrong tire with the pits. You went for hards, but he chose mediums, and then Sven got the penalty, and yeah, Julian was the fast to overtake, and P2. I'm happy.
Well, I think maximizing your result after a bad qualifying still. Good performance by both of you. Amazing race. Did not happen a lot. It was not a lot of action in the last couple of laps, but still awesome managed by you two. Then, guys at home, we're now stopping the broadcast. Thank you for listening and joining us during the Spanish Grand Prix, and hopefully we'll see you again next time. See you at the